I was thinking a little bit about the personal moments, and the storyline in the Warcraft universe has always been something that's been really captivating. Whether it's the Illidan quest lines, like Warcraft 3 for me was just awesome. And my brother was a really big Warcraft fan, and he when he was 31, he was diagnosed with cancer, and he basically, he'd sit at home and he'd be doing his thing, but then he'd play WoW when it first came out, and he'd always be bugging me. I was always a little too busy at work and this, that, and the other, but he would play WoW, and he's like, hey, have you checked out this? Have you checked that? And he would just geek up on everything WoW related. And he had a couple of kids, and he enjoyed like sitting down and playing with them as well. And when he died, I guess it was about 2 years ago. I remember I was sitting out by my pool, and I banged off a quick email to the guys on Team 2 and just basically said, hey, the storyline in the Warcraft universe has always been awesome. Like, is there any way that we can maybe do something for my brother? And it was kind of crazy. Like Metzen got wind of it, and he had gone to my brother's funeral with me, which I thought was awesome. And he wrote back and he said, well, we can kind of approach this a couple of different ways. We can either make him actually like a part of the main storyline for Lich King, or we could do like a really just epic quest. And he found this way, and I forget who did the writing behind it. I know that Metzen really gave a lot of direction, because I remember the email where he basically described the quest line and really his vision for the quest line. And it was wild, because he was able to take my brother's struggle for about 4 or 5 years and represent it in this fantasy universe. And just reading it, just going through and actually like reading what Metzen had paraphrased of what had gone on, it was pretty amazing. And then I sat down and I shared it with my dad. And my dad, he didn't know how to react, right? I mean, he was obviously moved by it, but he's not Mr. Emotional Dude. So the first time that I saw the storyline in game, my hat goes off to the creative department here, the writing abilities in Warcraft, the guys on Team 2, and what's wild is I had the crew here put together the DVD montage of that storyline, and I gave that to my parents. And my mom, she kind of refuses to watch it just because it's too much for her, I think. And my dad, I guess he snuck out with a little portable DVD player, and he had to watch it in private in a car. And I ended up taking a copy of it as well, and buried that along with some of his personal belongings up in the Arctic Circle. So I would say that, without question, one of the most personal moments for me is that Bridenbecker questline. Every once in a while, I like Google the questline, and there's dudes that are like, they're actually like checking out the lore, behind like all the various quest lines that are out there. And I Google Bridenbecker, and it's actually kind of cool, because like there are these guys who are just like, oh my God, like this quest line is awesome, and they don't get it, but then like some other people, like I guess the guys on the RP servers, like they fully geek out on it. They're like, yeah, hey, let's like I was rooting through the manual, and there's a line in the manual that's talking about how basically, like I did a dedication in the manual for Brad, and then they Google his name and they found out that he had died, and he basically like, they put like 2 and 2 together, and they're like, oh my God, like they go through and they review like the kind of cancer that he had, and it's just kind of crazy because it was sort of like a way to immortalize him, like, I don't know. I mean, it was good stuff, and I mean, I guess, I don't know, on the lighter side of things, like that's just cool, like I've gotten some of his friends that have emailed me that also play WoW, and they're just like, dude, that was epic. That was the thing that you needed to do for Brad. So.
Well, it kind of has a two-parter here. So back in 94, early 95, after we shipped Warcraft 1, we went to the Consumer Electronics Show. This is before the big E3s and whatnot. And we had a 10x10 booth showing Warcraft 1. And we had a little, like a 37-inch monitor that was showing the cinematic. And it was... initially, we're like really scared. We're thinking, are people going to like this or not? And, a couple people showed up. It turned into 5 people, turned to 10, and then there was a small crowd out there. At that moment, we were like kind of beside ourselves, because this is a consumer electronics show. There's a lot of other game companies here, small game studios, and we had this nice crowd looking at our cinematic. Comparing that to our first BlizzCon, and to think that we had a small crowd out in front of our 10x10 booth, and then next we're at the Anaheim Convention Center, and we have 10,000 people of our our best and brightest fans out there. That's probably the moment that really stood out to me as the most, because it was comparing that first moment when we first went to that CES to where we came 10 years later, which was probably my biggest moment. So it's actually more recent, I should say, World of Warcraft, the original. It was with a group of guys at work, and we raided Onyxia for the first time. And just the experience of, we worked on the dragon, we worked on the zone, we knew everything about it, but the actual experience of being in there as a player with all the guys on the team, it was just awesome. I mean, it was the most exhilarating experience I've had in any of our games, to kind of look at it not only from the developer side, but now we're on the gamer side, we're on the player side, and we got to be one of them. And we actually, obviously we didn't take her down on the first or second or even third attempt, but when we finally did, there was like cheers throughout the office. We were all so excited. And the thing is that the players had actually already done it before we had, but for us it was the first achievement internally for us to do that. So that was probably my biggest